Kia ora katoa, and thank you for staying in my room to listen to us talk. I'm actually going to do a bit of a tag team today with Kirsten, and I'll introduce her a bit more in a few minutes. And yeah, there is a bit of a confusion with the title of my talk on your project, on your paper. And essentially, if you want to hear about Taranaki Maunga project, Jan Hania will be talking about it later. So I will be talking about Wild for Taranaki and what we are doing to join the community together in Taranaki, and we're looking at a restoration project. So we'll be looking at how we work together with the community, but also how we work together with Taranaki Maunga project. So a bit of background on me. Campbell and I have known each other. Where is Campbell? It's a bit hard to give him a hard time when he's not in the room. So Campbell and I have worked together for about 25 years, and he used to be in Taranaki, and he came over here and basically stole our self-help possum control program and brought it to Hawke's Bay, which is great. We don't mind sharing. We've in turn stolen the Hawke's Bay's regional urban program that they started off on Napier Hill, and we've stolen that ourselves, so bit of to and fro between Hawke's Bay. I like what Bruce said earlier, though, there is a bit of a competition between regions, and I think that's a healthy thing. I'd like to acknowledge two of Wild for Taranaki's board members that are here today as well. Jan Hania, like I said, he's talking about project Taranaki Maunga project later, so we do work closely together. He's on our board, and also Michelle Bird's around somewhere. And we've also got 3 or 4 of our member groups from Wild for Taranaki in the room as well. So really keen, Taranaki, to start looking, sharing, and moving forward on this whole journey of restoration. Until very recently, 6 weeks. 6 weeks ago, part of my job as Regional Council Manager was to help get Wild for Taranaki up and running. And that's a bit of a big job, so as much as I like DIY, we decided we'd better get a bloke in, but in this case we've got a bloke-ess, and we employed Kirsten to run Wild for Taranaki. So essentially, it is a fully independent community group, but the Regional Council funds the majority of it. So the talk today is going to be in a couple of sections. Kirsten's going to go through Wild for Taranaki, how it came about and how we got to where we are now, and talk about the Restore Taranaki Initiative. And then I'll be talking about what TRC are looking to do to add value to that initiative and build on the projects that we already have. So, Kirsten Foley.
I've got paper. Right, so what are we? In essence, we are the power of one. We see a collective voice as having more strength within the community, the region, the nation. Wild for Taranaki consists of many and varied groups, all with an interest in the nature of the Taranaki region. While members' objectives may vary, our vision for the region is the same: the preservation and restoration of Taranaki's biodiversity. These are a few of our members, but it's a slightly outdated sheet. So, good things take time. Wild for Taranaki has taken several years to evolve to its current state. What started as a biodiversity forum then moved into a Biodiversity Accord. A coordinator was then employed, and then in 2015 there was the formation of the Charitable Trust, and then in 2016 the Wild for Taranaki brand was launched. The brand was launched to appeal to the wider region, and it's created as a front for the Taranaki Biodiversity Trust. And now, within the next, or very shortly, we're about to undertake our Restore Taranaki Initiative. How did we get there? Well, it's not easy. We needed a strategic approach to align all the members. So a strategic plan was undertaken, and from that we came up with 5 key objectives: to establish a strong foundation, fundraising strategy and plan, communication and engagement plan, to grow the membership and add value, and also, most importantly, to develop plans for collaborative, high-value regional projects. So, how did we do this? We undertook a stock take and mapped out the known pest control. This was overlaid with the biodiversity information. Now, as you can see from this graph, the redder the area, the higher the priority. We then undertook a forum in 2016, and we looked at what our priorities were with locations, ecosystems, where and how we could make the connections, and we got the members to tell us their project ideas. From this forum, we established some key outcomes. So we wanted to connect with the local people and the communities. We see this as our key. We wanted to protect a range of ecosystems and species, build on the existing work that our members are currently undertaking, and create links across the landscape. From this, Restore Taranaki Initiative has been created with its 5 key goals. Now, the first goal is to mobilise and support the Taranaki community to take action. We see this as actually being the key of the 5, and the other 4 fit in underneath this, because without the community and without the community support, our project will not be sustainable. So with this first goal, we see the education for the people, the why, to give them a reason we want to give them a reason to change. We know that this will take time, which is why we're focusing in the urban area of the New Plymouth region, which contains about 65% of the population. Our focus is initially going to be on the urban backyards, where people can directly see the positive impacts small changes can make to their lives. We want to raise brand awareness of Wild for Taranaki so that the community are aware of our members and buy into the region. We want them to become wild for Taranaki. And the increased involvement will depend on the interests and what drives the members of the community to be involved. So our second goal, don't want that. Our second goal is to restore the sound and movement of our Taranaki wildlife. Again, it involves educating the region. The why. Why do we need to do pest control? What the outcome may be, depending on what drives the person. It may be increased bird life. It may be increased geckos. It may be that they want a kiwi in their backyard. We're looking at 1 in 5 houses within the urban area having a trap. We want to monitor the change and involve the community in this monitoring to see the impact. We also want to look at responsible pet ownership. Goal 3, restore the cloak of Taranaki. Again, it's the education with the community. We'll be looking at possibly targeting invasive weeds, starting with 5. Again, educating the public, the community, making them take ownership. Looking at the cost effectiveness with the disposal of pest plant waste and how to make it easy for them. We want to work with the local authorities to change the current resource consent processes. Restore the fresh water of Taranaki. Again, education. We want people to be aware of what's happening, making small changes. We've already got that within the region. We've got our farmers with their riparian planting, working with the regional council. We want people aware of what goes down the drains, goes into our waterways, what they can do to reduce this. We're looking at reducing the pollution, urban litter, beach cleanups. We want to look at eradicating and suppressing invasive freshwater species, removing and improving barriers to fish passage. And lastly, goal 5, the coastal marine. Again, that comes down to education and awareness, rather than just having the community involved in the beach cleanups, looking at how the litter gets onto the beach, how to reduce this. Again, restoration, planting, preserving our coastline from erosion, working with the local authorities to improve the beach water quality, rocky reef and estuary ecology. So that's us in a nutshell. I'll hand you over to Steve.
So yeah, Restore Taranaki is just that. It's not just about predator control, it's about doing all these things together. And I've got to acknowledge Jo sitting down here, Jo Ritchie. She helped us develop this plan. So Taranaki Regional Council, as one of the key members of Wild for Taranaki, obviously do a lot of work which already feeds into biodiversity. We have riparian programs, we have pest programs, we have all sorts of different things happening. So the little graphic in the corner, which is a bit stylised, but you'll get the drift. The green and the coloured areas is actually our current possum control program. Taranaki has the longest running community possum control program in the world, I say, because New Zealand's the only one that has one. And so we cover about 235,000 hectares and about 4,000 properties. So while we were developing Restore Taranaki, we looked at what can TRC do to help grow our programs to help this whole initiative. So we looked at why don't we start including predator control into our self-help possum control program. So we looked at it and we've put in a bid to Predator Free 2050, like most of you probably have, and we've looked at how we can actually do that, how can we get more money. On top of that, Council's put in another $700,000 a year for the next 10 years to help leverage more money and make this thing work. We're looking at 3 years to start off with. First one is trial the landscape down the Waiwakaia catchment, monitoring programs, a zero possum block, and then carry on around the mountain. Years 4 to 10 is just carry on chunking it off. This is the Waiwakaia catchment, and this clock goes really fast, Kevin. This is the Waiwakaia catchment, and basically what we're looking at is starting here, Monga to the sea, involve the urban people, let's roll out landscape scale suppression of predators and look at an urban program for all the species. Okay, there's a key here really that we need to be looking at. We talked about it, Edie was talking about it. We could roll out traps tomorrow, but we need to make sure these things are going to be used. So the social science thing is going to be really important in getting people engaged. Year 2, we want to go around the Monga. Taranaki Monga Project are doing some great work on the Monga, and we want to be able to protect that from anything coming back in. That year will be hopefully about the same time as the next aerial 1080 operation happens on the Monga. So we'll be able to actually include that in and do around the outside. The other bit, which is quite cool and exciting, and thanks to the Zip guys, Al and Phil, they invited us down to Bottle Rock a couple of weeks ago, and we had a look at it, at what they're doing with the virtual fence that Al talked about. And with the Taranaki Monga team and ourselves, we've looked at using the Kaitaki Range as a bit of a peninsula. The river on the left, your left, is the Timaru, and the other one on the right is the Oakura. We think they would make good boundaries for possums to get across there. The yellow bit at the top, we're thinking we can get down to 0 possums next year and then maintain it. And again, that's going to be the hard thing, detection and maintaining. And then when the 1080 hits the ground, we think we can do the rest of it using the new recipe and then finish off the rest of the farmland. So you'll see that's got bush, urban, that's where all the rich people live too, by the way, and quite a lot of farmland and forestry. So we think Taranaki lends itself really well to build on our programs to go for sustained predator control and also include a 0 block for possums. Year 3 would then be to carry on the sustained control around the pink bit. Look at outcome monitoring. Year 3 is probably a bit early for that, but we need to be starting to think about what kind of outcomes and what kind of monitoring we can do. Continue our self-help possum control program, so the possums are going to be lower in numbers as well, and carry on implementing and targeted rat control, which I didn't talk about. So we also, for our rat control, and somebody might ask what we're doing for rats, we have a site-led program where we will be doing rats to really low numbers, but not across the whole landscape. That's what it looks at, roll out years 1 to 10. And the total cost of that for my expression of interest was about 115 million. That was the total cost. We actually are asking for about 35 million. We think we need about 35 million of additional funding to actually get this thing to run. A lot of that 115 million is farmer time, in-kind support, what TRC are already putting in, what Wildlife Taranaki are putting in, Project Monga's stuff. So we think over the next 10 years we can get really low suppressed predator numbers. So that's about it. Good timing, eh, Kevin? We'd like, though, if you want to follow Wild for Taranaki and have a look at see what we're doing, they've got the website, we've got the Facebook page, share, like, all that twitty thing, stuff that you get to do. Thank you very much.
Questions for Kirsten or Steve?
She abandoned me.
Yeah, she's gone. Any questions? No? Oh, there's one right there.
Go on, Murray. That's all right. Thought I was out of here.
Just for the goal of the zero.
Hang on 1 second, she'll give you the mic, and then you'll be recorded for posterity.
Murray Hudson, Greater Wellington Regional Council. Yeah, just for your 0% target that you're looking at for, just on the northern piece, is that going to be something that you guys are looking at maintaining or achieving in the first instance, then follow up with the occupier to manage it thereafter, or?
Yeah, pretty much. With the zero block, we're looking at getting it to zero, putting a virtual fence on that narrow neck, and maintaining the kaitakis at zero forever. And then, over time, hopefully as we develop and technology gets better, we can do the whole monga together with Taranaki Monga Project and the rest of the community. The sustainable predator stuff, we would be looking at the landowners taking over maintenance of that. And at some point, we might end up putting a rule in our RPMP that says they must do that control. But don't tell anybody that yet, because that's just an early thought.
Scrub that from the record.